Hello again. Most of us are aware that the number of actual trans people in this country is vanishingly small. And yet they seem to have an enormous influence upon our lives. Think pronoun badges for staff in banks and, of course, the abolition of women's changing rooms, just as two random examples. The 2021 census provided a boost for all this by claiming that there are no fewer than 250,000 trans people in England and Wales. This conclusion was reached by asking people, is the gender you identify with the same as your sex registered at birth? Most normal people would realise at once that a question like this is going to be very confusing for somebody whose first language is not English and who has never even heard of the idea of transsexuality. Sure enough, the places with the highest percentages of trans people, allegedly, turned out to be the London boroughs of Brent and Newham, both famous for having residents whose proficiency at the English language is perhaps not of the very highest. Nationally, we are told that just 0.3% of people of white ethnicity say they are trans, which is plausible. That would mean, of course, that 99.7% of the population was not. That sounds okay. However, the census also suggested that 5 times as many people in the category Black, British, Welsh, Caribbean or African ethnic group are actually trans people. 5 times as many, 1.6% as opposed to 0.3%. Does this really sound plausible to anybody? Or is it more likely that these are the people who will be scratching their heads and asking themselves what on earth is meant by identifying with the same gender as recorded at birth? So any normal person would not realise that their gender was the same as that when they were born. The Office for National Statistics is understandably a bit touchy about this, and they say that these patterns may be unexpected. This does not mean they are necessarily wrong. In other words, they are claiming that it may genuinely be the case that there are more trans people in Newham than there are in Brighton. This would be amusing if it were not so depressing and indicative of the way this country is heading these days. It's part of a concerted effort to persuade us that many men in Britain are really women and vice versa. Most of us don't believe a word of it. In the description to this video, I give a link to a newspaper article about this.